Hey guys, Dr. Sean here. I got asked this morning a couple questions. You know, my wife and I are out of town right now. We're in Nashville, Tennessee, which is super exciting. First time being down here. We're gonna do some speaking later on this week. So I'm super excited about this. We're gonna kind of kick off New Year's as well while we're down here. I thought we'd make a kind of a trip around it. But I got asked this question this morning. I said, Doc, you know, what do you think about all this fasting craze? What's going on with this? You know, I did a video a while back. I've written several weight loss programs in my career. I'm 20 years into nutrition right now. Fasting is the one thing I can say, boy, I got a hold of it. And the reason for it is the understanding behind it. And one of the biggest misnomers that I see is, why do you fast? You know, the thing I hear the most, it's still this old archaic model of calories in versus calories out. And if I just eat less, move more, I'll get where I need to be. And fasting that I see now from people who are pushing it, or kind of concepts behind it, whether it's 8 hours on, 16 off, or 5 days on, 2 days off, or 3, 4, 5 days in a row, all of these things, there's nothing wrong with any of those. The key to it is understanding why it works and how it works. And the thing I'll tell you is this: it has very, very, very little to do with calories and almost nothing to do with exercise. And so then you have to look at that and say, well, gosh, how does it work and why does it work? Now, it's more than I can go into in a video here for you, but I want to share a few things with you. When you get ready to do this, if you decide to do this, I always like to understand the core concept of nutrition. There's macronutrients. Macro are the big boys on the block, right? There's 3. There's carbohydrates, proteins, and fat, and that's it. There are no other macronutrients. Everything else we need in little infinitesimal amounts. But those big 3, those are the guys we have to survive. So we look at that and we say, well, gosh, what if I don't use one of them? What if my body struggles with one? How would you ever know? What if I don't do well digesting fat? How would you ever know? Now, there's symptoms I guess you could look for, but why not run a test that tells you? I run one called an IUP. It's an Integrated Urinalysis Panel. It looks at the body, at what it's bringing in and throwing away. So there's no guesswork, right? A good friend of mine always says, to see is to know, to not see is to guess. I believe him, right? I like to know. So when I'm looking at these things, I want to know what's going on. So if I know the body's not utilizing protein properly, maybe it's struggling with carbohydrate breakdown. Now guys, that doesn't mean breads, grains, and cereals. It could mean fruits. It could mean vegetables. Maybe I'm not breaking those carbohydrates down properly. If I'm not digesting my food, then I can't get the benefit out of it. My body's not as efficient anymore. Now, it doesn't mean you're not cold turkey all the way not digesting food. That doesn't happen. Right? What it means is you're not efficient. Think of it like a car with gas mileage. If you buy a Prius and you know, I bought this car because I'm going to get 40 miles to the gallon, and every time you pull into the pump, you're pulling up and you're only getting 20. Wouldn't you notice that? Wouldn't you realize that, man, I'm only getting 20, but it said 40. What's wrong? How would you know? You'd run a diagnostic test. That's what an IUP is. It's a diagnostic test. What kind of gas mileage is my car getting, and can it get rid of its waste? Now, with that being said and done, when we go back to this concept of fasting, we think, okay, if we just make digestion really simple, diet, digestion, detox, elimination, that's what nutrition kind of basically is, right? It's those 4 pieces. So if you go through that and you say, okay, if I'm fasting, there's no diet and there's no digestion because they're not necessary. There's no food coming in. So what's left? The body has to detoxify and clean itself, and it has to eliminate the waste. Now that's a great thing, right? It's super healthy for the body as long as it can do it. But if it's limping, or it's got something out of rhythm, out of time, out of beat, running too fast, too slow, then we know, oops, we're gonna have to support that. That's where the IUP comes in. It kind of lets you know these things. So we go back to this idea of the fast now. Now, everyone's doing them, but they're doing them in a cookie cutter version. That's what I see. Everyone should do 8 hours on, 16 off, or 5 days on, 2 days off, or mix and match. They're cookie cutter. The key to it is it has to be tailored to the individual. Like I said before in the beginning of this, I've used fasting in my practice for 2 decades, and I use it differently. I have fasts that I use for patients who have disease conditions. If you're diabetic, if you have cancer, if you have lupus or something of that nature, I will use a different fast than I would if, hey doc, I'd like to lose 20 pounds. I'll use them differently because I want different results, different outcomes. And I have multiple variations that I use in practice. Now the good news is this: You're not going to hurt yourself with it as long as you're careful and smart. That's the key to this. I wouldn't go diving into a deep, long fast right away unless you've done it before. If you've experienced fasting and you understand it, then you understand kind of the benefits behind it. But you got to be careful with it. And it's something I believe needs to be guided. If you have someone who's very experienced with this and understands nutrition and they guide you through it, you can get amazing results. If you're going to do it on your own, slow and steady wins the race, guys. So I hope that helps you. Just kind of a different take on fasting and how it works and the concept behind it. If you need any help with it, give me a buzz. I'm Dr. Sean. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.